Nkrumah's story is one that both inspires hope and provokes anger or disappointment in equal measure. There's so much to admire about the man, his vision, his charisma, his many achievements, much of which still remains even till date. But there's also much to critique. After all, he was human, imperfect like the rest of us. Yet one aspect of his life that deserves more attention, especially in our generation, is his marriage. Not just to be heard, but to be learned from, especially in an era where marriage has, in many ways, lost its fundamental essence. When Nkrumah met his wife, Fathia, for the first time on the very night of their wedding. She arrived in Ghana in December 1957 and was married to Nkrumah at the Christiansborg Castle on New Year's Eve. Raised in an Egyptian Christian family of 5, comprising a widowed mother and 4 siblings, Fathia's life took a dramatic turn when she agreed to become the first lady of the first independent nation in sub-Saharan Africa. The secrecy surrounding their marriage sparked intense speculation. Even the US Department of State and the CIA had their concerns. They suspected the marriage was some sort of strategic alliance between Ghana and Egypt. Britain and America feared this union could trigger some sort of chain reaction that could eventually threaten their interest in the future. Dozens of conspiracy theories emerged, questioning why Nkrumah would choose a North African for a wife. Before her journey to Ghana, Fathia met with Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, a close friend of Nkrumah. President Nasser sought to ensure that she understood the gravity of the role she was about to step into. Becoming the First Lady of Ghana at just 26 years old was both an honor and a formidable challenge. She reaffirmed her readiness, seemingly undeterred by cultural differences or potential risks. The marriage, however, was met with resistance. Fathia's mother refused to give her blessing, despite her daughter's persistence. In Ghana, disapproval also surfaced, particularly among political wives and affluent women. The women's wing of the CPP was the most vocal. They expressed disappointment in Nkrumah for choosing a non-indigenous woman for a bride. In response, Nkrumah defended his choice, arguing that Fathia as an African woman should not be seen as an outsider. But the real challenge of winning hearts fell on Fathia herself, and win them she did. She carved out her space amongst Ghana's elite women, particularly in the textile industry, even eventually having a type of kente cloth named in her honor. Here's an interesting fact. Ghana has consistently ranked among the top 3 countries with the highest percentage of female entrepreneurs in the world. And even in the 50s, our women were thriving, and Fathia managed to find her place amongst them. As First Lady of Ghana, Fathia Nkrumah played a crucial role as hostess to high-profile dignitaries, welcoming world leaders, diplomats, and influential figures to the country. Though she was very young and initially inexperienced in the world of politics, she quickly adapted to a position with grace and poise. Her elegance, intelligence, and charm made her a respected figure, both locally and internationally. She supported her husband, the president, in his diplomatic engagements. Despite the challenges of her role, she carried out her duties with dignity, leaving a lasting impression on the country's political and social landscape. At the time of Kwame Nkrumah's overthrow, Fathia was just 34 years old, left alone in Ghana during the military coup, while Nkrumah was away in China. She faced a terrifying raid on the presidential palace as guards were killed around her. She gathered her children in prayer, uncertain whether they would survive or be executed by the usurpers. She would later order the presidential guards to surrender, a decision she made to preserve the life of the remaining defenders, as well as her children's. The threat to their lives was real, as then Colonel Kotoka threatened to bomb the presidential palace if resistance continued any further. Here's Kotoka fraternizing with Nkrumah a day before his trip to China. By this time, the plot to overthrow Nkrumah was already well designed. Kotoka was killed a year later by an unsuccessful uprising by a reconnaissance regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces. Soon after the successful coup against Nkrumah's government, Fathia fled to Egypt. She was 40 years old when Kwame Nkrumah passed away in 1972. She returned to Ghana and was at her mother-in-law's side at the burial of the late president, whose body was moved from Guinea-Conakry, the country he was exiled in, and where he was initially buried. She made a final attempt to resettle in Ghana in 1975, but after the passing away of her mother-in-law before her eyes, she again left for Egypt. Fathia may not have married for love, but she carried out her responsibility as wife and first lady honorably. Despite not being Ghanaian by birth, and initially even being rejected by many citizens, she came to love the country deeply. She found happiness during her stay here in Ghana, and never felt like she didn't belong. Even on her deathbed, she still longed for closure of her husband, insisting that her body be buried beside him. She died in 2007 at the age of 72, and today she lies beside Nkrumah at the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, We live in a time when many marriages dissolve after just a couple of years and minor challenges, despite being built on so-called love and not duty or compromise. Yet we rarely see the type of unwavering loyalty Fathia demonstrated towards Nkrumah and Ghana. Perhaps her story is one our generation needs to hear.